My daughter had before she was out of high school, and she finished her education, her high school, while she was living with us, and then she had some problems. She'd been married maybe twice, and she had some problems and could not take care of. So my husband and I decided that instead of calling social services, that would be better if we took him in and raised him. I was angry with my daughter, and because some of the choices that she made were not choices I would have made. I think raising children is the most important thing that anyone can do, and I didn't think that I was very angry with her, which makes grandparenting difficult at times, because you do not want the grandchild to know that you are angry at his mother. He's been with me since he was 3.
Wow.
And so his mother has been in and out of his life. And so whenever I try to not say anything negative about his mother whenever he's around, and explain why she's not around and why she doesn't come see him. And it is very difficult and painful, because you hurt for the grandchild, because he's wanting his mother. And you're there, you're the grandparent, and a child always wants his mother. He is very intelligent, and at that time I have 3 children of my own, and 2 stepkids I kind of call mine, but I knew how to raise children. However, this grandchild was a lot different. He was highly intelligent. He finished high school in the 9th grade. He sees things differently. He had been diagnosed ADHD. He's allergic to everything green. There were dental problems, and so there were challenges at school, because when a child's on ADD and he's taking medicine, Ritalin can affect a child. So he could remember where his class was, but he was distracted. If the teacher sent him to the office with the absentee thing, he would stop by the library visit instead of coming back to the office. And so there were problems at school. I cried a lot. Taking him to school, dropping him off, I would be crying because it was difficult. But he did great in school. He made good grades, and without studying. So that was difficult with but he's not ADHD, and I had to argue with the doctors about the effect that medicine has on a child. He has trouble with any type of medicine that he takes, cold medicine, antibiotics. He has a reaction to that makes him kind of violent. And doctors wouldn't believe me. They tend to think, oh, it's the grandmother. You know, oh, she's the grandmother, so she's partial, or she can't look at it from a mother's standpoint. And I would be so angry, because I'm not in the grandmother role. I'm in the mother role. And I know that the child is not acting, that when you take an antibiotic, that you don't act that way. So one time at the doctor's office, he was on an antibiotic, and the doctor saw him. From then on, I had an excuse when he was taking antibiotics. So he had some medical issues, nothing really serious, but the problems at school, and the medical issues, and what other people think was wrong with your child. You know, it was difficult to do that, and I was like 45 or something like that, so it was difficult. I didn't have those challenges when I was younger with my children. My children were all, I was 25 with 3 children under the age of 3, so you know, you deal with things much differently than you do as a grandparent. You have more experience. I don't know that I did overgrow them. My grandson will say that he always remembers grandmother crying. I cried quite a bit. My husband was wonderful because my husband is my second husband, and he and I do not have any children, and he considers my children and his children, and he's been very supportive and helpful, and he had my grandson playing golf at 2, and he taught him chess, and so that kind of helps you deal with the crying and dealing with the problems. I can't say that you ever really deal with it. You know, some people probably do, and I have been to counseling because he's not your regular child. He was taking doorknobs off of the doors at 2 years old with a screwdriver. You know, most kids can't do that at 2 years old, so he was challenging, but exciting and fun. My grandson and I are very close because I didn't work, and his grandpa was working all the time. And so if I went anywhere, he went with me. And if I went to the store, he went to the store. If I went to the Goodwill, he went. And everybody in our town knew my grandson because he was always with me. My daughter and I did have a setup where that I was guardian. You have to have that so that you can put him in school, so that I can take him to the doctor. And so we had that set up so that anytime she wanted guardianship back, she could get it. You know, I wasn't going to financially, if we had adopted him, we could have put him on our insurance, but he could get Medicaid, so that helped with the doctor's expenses. I wished I'd have been more patient. I was too serious. It's a big responsibility, and you do the best that you can. And I would have tried to relax a little bit more. I was too serious, like it's the end of the world, you know. And when it actually wasn't. And we would say Bible verses every day. And I taught him the Bible, and I taught him to be nice. He is the nicest young man. He is trying very hard to be very bad. But when you know him, you see in his eyes that he's a good person. So I taught him to with saying our prayers, and he will do anything for anybody. Salvation Army, we're going in the door, Grandma, you know, even today, he stops and he gives to the Salvation, the jingle bells outside. Somebody needs something, he will do it. He's just a very kind and good individual. Right now, he's fighting it, which hurts a great deal, with religion. Because he would go to church. He would walk down to church when I didn't feel like going to church. He would walk when he was 10 or 12 and go to church. And at this stage in his life, he's fighting religion, trying to disprove it, and arguing with me about it. And that hurts a great deal. But the Bible says, raise up the child in the way he shall go, and he will not depart from. So I'm sure he's going to be a preacher. He doesn't know it yet, but I think he will be. I had several nervous breakdowns. There was we became 14 and 15. He was becoming uncontrollable. Grandma, you can't stop me. You know, and going out the door. And I tried to get help. And I think one time I had got him in this place to get the help. And he called on the phone and canceled it. And I had been waiting for 3 weeks. I lost it. I cried and I cried and I cried. So basically, that's, you know, your blood pressure goes up and you cry. So I say I went in the nut house, but you know, you go in there and stay a week and cry, and the people there were just wonderful. You know, they'll say, "Oh, these are just kids," you know. And that stage was difficult, very difficult. And my faith grew. I always knew that everything was going to be all right. But you're angry. You can be angry at your daughter because you don't understand. And you're angry at her because you know that her son is hurting. And the Bible doesn't want you to pray when you're angry. God says to, get the log out of your eye, or not be angry with your brother when you're praying. And that was difficult for me because I was angry. I was angry with her. And sometimes I would be angry at my husband because I maybe, he's tired, he's working. Maybe I thought he should do a little bit more or something. So I was angry. The nervousness and going to counseling, trying to do the right thing for my grandson was very important to me. Because you have a child's life in your hands, and everything that you do forms them and makes them. And he didn't have a dad. His dad was very rebellious and stubborn, and he had died accidentally at 21. So you have a child that doesn't have a dad and doesn't have a mother. So it was very difficult emotionally to deal with that, and then to do what you had to do to be a parent and to raise him successfully. It actually brought us closer together because he was my second husband, and I think we'd been married 10 years. But we were like single adults, kind of like, we could go to the movies, we could go for weekend trips and things like that. So all that kind of stopped when we took over the grandparenting, and it actually brought us closer together. It probably saved our marriage. Each grandparenting decision has to be made. You can't just group it and says this works with this grandparent. It's going to work with all grandparents. It depends on the situation. There may be a mother who's not going to ever be able to be in the child's life. Right now, I have my grandson, his mother, her other son, and my great-great-granddaughter in my house. And I have my grandson's wife. And his mother is with him. He is the happiest that he's been in his life. Regardless of all of the stuff that was taking place to get him to this point, for his mother to be living, it makes me sad. See, it will still make you cry. For his mother to be in the house. This young man who's 21 is endlessly happy, boundless happy. So, and his mother will tell me, you did a good job. He's the nicest young man. And she's so proud of him. So, yeah. And I would do it, I would do it again if I had to. But there is other cases where you would have to look at all the circumstances, and every circumstance is different. To love that grandchild, all they need is love. Just to love them and not to say negative stuff about their mother. That is very hard to do, especially if you're angry with her or angry with the son or something, because it's hard to explain to a child why, if Mama comes to visit, why Mama leaves and I can't go with her. It's very difficult, but you have to. Whatever you have to do, you make that child feel good. And let that child know that he's loved and that his mother loves him. Whether he's going to see the mother again or not, or whenever, that you have to let that child know that his mother loves him and that you love him and that he has a bunch of people that love him. Because that To me, that's what is important, is the love, because that's what the children want. They want somebody to love them.